Bring you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again, another day committed to being your consumer advocate, all about helping you understand your buying decisions right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, making you just a bit more street smart here. We don't care if you're climbing a corporate ladder out there or if you throw a ladder in your truck on the way to work. This show's for you. We want to help educate, entertain, enlighten, but most importantly, we want to engage with you so that we can help you win in any marketplace.
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
Save our hotline number in your phone, 813-750-0550.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
750-0550, Tampa number right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. ConsumerQB.com. You can see links there to all of our expert contributors, the finest folks in all of Tampa Bay and the Gulf Coast region that we've assembled, we've vetted, and we bring on the show to help you understand your buying decisions and making you just a bit more street smart, as we say here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And let's give a shout out to Jade's Premium Quality Cleaning, the official cleaning partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Jade's Premium Quality Cleaning. They do a great job cleaning our real estate properties, and they are also COVID-19 certified for infection prevention and control. So reach out. They offer $15 off to any of our radio, TV show family out there for the Consumer Quarterback Show listeners. All right, and we have a great lineup for you today. Let's make our introductions. Let's go to the phones real quick, make our introductions. The Tin Man on the phones, Fred Muth, Tampa Screens.
I'm still on the phone. I got my simulated microphone, earphones. I'll tell you, I think I'm in the studio, but I'm really not. I can't wait to get back to the studio. It was a lot more fun in the studio.
Yeah,
how you guys doing over there? You having fun in the studio without me?
That's right. That's right. We miss you, buddy. Tampa Screens, Aluminum, Fred Muth. The Tin Man coming up here very soon on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Also, B. Faust in the house. Brandon Faust, welcome.
Thank you, Brandon. Glad to be back.
Mold Zero.
That's right.
Moldy time of year right now, isn't it?
It is the time we can be heroes for guys that are coming down and finding their home full of mold because of humidity, or maybe they had a water leak that's caused a problem, and if they think there's something, we can also help find out if there actually is something. Yeah,
absolutely. And we're going to dive into some success stories that you've had, some situations where people thought they were sick, their doctor couldn't figure out what's going on. Well, they knew they were sick, rather, let me back up. But they couldn't figure out what it was. It ended up being mold in the house, mold in the, around the bed, and interesting stuff.
I think it's one of the most misdiagnosed issues that we have right now. Because, it's all over the place. It's growing. That's what it does. But it also releases a toxic substance, and it makes people ill. So It's mysterious. People don't know what's going on. And it turns out they have the mycotoxins in their blood and their body.
Wow. Amazing. It gets in the blood that fast. We also have our water expert as well, waterscience.us, Fred DeFelice. Freddie D. going to be on the show here coming up as well. Let me tell you about a couple of hot listings that we've got. 13204 Fawn Lily Drive. This property is in Riverview, Florida. It's a beautiful property that we've got right here in Tampa Bay. 13204 Fawn Lily Drive in Riverview. It's a large property, just hit the market. Got a nice water feature in the back, fenced in, and also screened in back lanai. Beautiful property here in Tampa Bay. 1010 Bay Esplanade on Clearwater Beach is another beautiful property listing that we've got here. It's 3151 square feet, 4 beds, 3 baths, 2-car garage, private apartment, and a sun deck right on Clearwater Beach, the world's #1 beach destination. 1010 Bay Esplanade, compliments of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. Check out all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, let's jump right into it. Brandon Faust here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Mold Zero is his company, and doing a great job out there in the community, hearing nothing but great things from all the folks that have reached out either to the show or through the network and helping people find that mold. It's a hidden killer out there, isn't it?
No doubt about it. It's one of those things that you don't necessarily always see it, but it's there. It's a microscopic particle. You can actually fit 10 mold spores on the tip of a hair. So if you're seeing it with the naked eye, you're usually past the point that you want to be.
Wow.
So when you look into the different types of molds, it's not just the black mold that's concerning, right? That's the one that we hear about the most.
Yeah.
But in actual fact, there's a white mold that is called Aspergillus. The mycotoxin that it releases, myco actually comes from fungus. That's what it actually means. So fungus toxin. So the gas that it emits has been related to some pretty serious physical situations, right? So there's definitely multiple types of mold. One of the ones that we handle a lot is actually cladosporium. Cladosporium is an allergenic mold, and it's the one that we see in the ducts and in the AC systems the most. A lot of people think it's dirt. They don't actually realize that it's actual growth. But if you're starting to see these black spots on those vent flaps, it usually manifests that there's a deeper situation that's in the ducts, it's in the coils, right? So if you have a musty smell in your home, it usually is going to translate into, yes, there is mold there. So whether it's allergenic, pathogenic, or toxic, you don't really want any of those in your home. So we have different approaches to each type of mold. So when it's in the ducts, we can not only sanitize the ducts, but we'll sanitize the entire home, right? Because doing just the ducts is really not the way to go.
And I would say a lot of the real estate properties that a buyer agent would show, especially if it's locked up, it's sitting vacant, the owners may be a little bit on the cheaper side.
100%.
They're not pushing the AC down. You walk into those, you can smell instantly that there's something going on.
100%. And like I said, I cannot stress it enough. If it smells musty, it is moldy. Okay? Don't ignore it.
Because it's not worth the risk.
Now, get the air samples done. It's not that you shouldn't buy the house.
Yeah.
It's that you should get it treated before you buy the house.
Yeah, before you move your family in.
Right. It's not a long fix. There's certain types of mold problems that can be a long fix. You know, if let's say your dishwasher was leaking for months and you didn't know about it, and now it's behind all the cabinets and you have black mold back there, then yes, that's going to be a bit of a longer project. But if you have it in your AC, in your ducts, or even if it was due to high humidity, right? Even high humidity mold where it's over the entire condo or home or whatever it might be, that's something that we can usually handle in 2 to 3 days.
Wow.
Right. So we're not doing any tear out when that happens. We have an approach. And I'll show you a video. It actually might be a good idea to show that video that actually.
Let's show it. Let's show it, John.
Yeah, and the main reason is this actually shows a church that was shut down due to, obviously everything that's going on with the virus. There was no congregations. They had their AC set at like 82. They came back and it was full of white-green mold, which is actually Aspergillus penicillium, which is a pathogenic mold. Not something that you want to mess around with whatsoever. Yeah.
Looks like we got a technical hold on that. But I want to just shift gears also, just talk about the EPA, the EPA studies. I mean, we've had our longtime friend of the program, Greg Bowman, the AC guy of Tampa Bay. Mm-hmm. He often talks about the EPA studies showing the indoor air quality, and the different factors that affect that.
Yeah, that was in 1984. It was 30% of the buildings had sick building syndrome, right? So you can imagine, as time has gone on, it's not necessarily getting any better. And especially with the materials that have been used, whether it's Chinese drywall or whether it's actually getting tighter so that it doesn't breathe as much as it used to, or cheaper material, then you're going to have more mold growth. The that wood, that microfiber wood, that's all glued together. Mold loves that stuff. So the cheaper the material is usually the more moldy the situation. So and that was back in 1984. Was 30% of the buildings had
That's a good
buildings.
Point you bring up too. We're talking with Brandon Faust here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. You drive around Tampa Bay and any city really. You look around at some of these developers. They're building, say, for example, apartment complexes, and you see the cheaper materials used. It blows my mind. They use that particle wood still.
That's exactly right. Not only that, how about right now it's rainy season?
Yes.
Okay. How many of those buildings? I drive by buildings every day that are open to the elements right now.
Yep.
Right. There's one apartment building. I won't name the exact one because that would be pretty cruel of me. Maybe I should, but it's it's in Clearwater.
Yep.
And whenever I go in there, it's musty, it's moldy. The people are calling us all the time.
Yeah.
Why? Because they didn't seal it correctly. They didn't use a proper waterproofing. And sure enough, it got onto the actual material, and Aspergillus started growing behind the walls. And you're talking mold releases 2 different substances. One is a spore, which is a seed, and it also releases a toxic gas. So a toxic gas is microscopic.
Right.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay, we got our video queued up here.
All right.
So Brandon's going to narrate it for us as we play.
All right, so this is Hope Presbyterian Hospital, and that's Pastor Bob right there. So they were shut down for a number of weeks, and they walked in, and they basically found white-green mold all over the place. So they gave us a call. We went in there, and we looked at the scene, and we said, okay, yeah, we can handle this. We gave them an exact predict on how long it would take. So this is, us taking a look at it, and you're going to see the patented Mold Zero process here, where we're actually using a fogging system that basically fills the entire volume of the space, right, with almost like a cloud. It's a fog. It's so thick you can barely see in front of your face, right? And then we're wiping everything down, and then we're also doing what's called HEPA vacuuming, which is very detailed vacuuming. I mean, you had mold on the Bibles, on the pews, on every single thing that you could possibly imagine, even their sound system. So, and he was actually getting sick, and that's something that he was talking about, is even before they had that growth, he was getting sick when he would do his sermons. Wow. And he didn't know exactly what it was. So the mold was already there. It just got worse when they shut it down and they had their AC off. So you can see how dense it gets, that volume. And that's really crucial that it hits that density, because that lingering stage is really the most vital part. If we went in there with, let's say foggers where you're kind of like doing sanitizing, it would only linger for about 5 to 10 minutes. Wow. But what we're doing, it lingers for about 30 to 40 minutes. So those airborne spores are actually being annihilated, that's eating into the actual membrane of the spore and then denaturing the mold spore itself, ruining its allergenic potential. So when we started, before we actually did any fogging, we were actually at about 6,000 at the back, and at the front it was 6,400 per cubic meter. That's mold spores per 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot. And then 3 minutes into our fogging, it shot up to 860,000 in the back, and in the front it went up to 980,000. That's 3 minutes into the fogging. Okay, and then 45 minutes into the fogging, it dropped down to the back. It was at 1,400. The front was 4,500. So that's a dramatic reduction, right? Even before we started, that's a pretty dramatic reduction. And then the next day, we fogged it one more time just to make sure we hit the safe levels. And we got it to the back, it was 490, and in the front, 160 mold spores. Wow. So you're talking about at the height, 980,000 in the front, and once we were done, 860. Wow. 980,000 to 160. That's how effective that treatment is in terms of reducing that microbial growth.
Wow. Interesting stuff. Great testimonial there from a church right here in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it was in Clearwater.
Large building,
Very
by the way.
large building, yeah. It was massive.
Big building.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's good stuff. When we come back, I want to ask you a little bit more about how our listeners can take advantage, what it costs for, inspections, and a little bit more detail on that. And then also coming up, Fred DeFelice, waterscience.us, our water quality expert. Similar to what Brandon's talking about with things in the air that we may not see, it's also in your water. So find out more from Freddie DeFelice, waterscience.us. Fred Muth as well, Tampa Screens and Aluminum, a.k.a. the Tin Man, coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Stay with us. Don't touch that dial.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. For more information, go to consumerqb.com.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
My friends, when choosing a listing agent to sell your home, their track record is critically important. Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of Platinum MVP Team at Keller Williams Real Estate. They're consistently rated by the MLS in the top 1% of all Tampa Bay realtors, and that's a big deal. Brandon and Lindsay are always among the top realtors in the state. Call them today at 813-750-0550.
Find them at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Selling commercial or residential property? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP Team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rhymes. Reach me at 813-670-7372 or platinummvpteam.com.
My name is James DeJerome, and I produce the Consumer Quarterback Show for Brandon Rhymes. The Consumer Quarterback Show is a team, a group of like-minded professionals who partner together to provide our audience sound advice, knowledge, and information to make them wiser consumers. We work with all types of business owners and aggressively promote our local economy. We're currently conducting interviews for our expert contributors. If you own a business or know someone who would benefit from the exposure our show provides, please contact us at 813-750-0550 or online at consumerqb.com.
You're listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us here, the Consumer Quarterback Show. We love to help you. Uptick in calls lately, people calling in, wanting to find out more about their credit, their finance situations, their mortgage. Is it a great time to refi or not? Looking at pulling equity out potentially, or any of our 80-plus categories. Over 50 show partners, expert contributors, local area businesses here that come on the show and appear and serve the community as consumer advocates, helping you understand your buying decisions and making you just a bit more street smart, as we say here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Great lineup for you today as well. Brandon Faust, Mold Zero, coming up here in a moment. Fred DeFelice, waterscience.us. Also Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum, here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. This segment is brought to you by the Golf Cart Depot of Tampa Bay. Golf Cart Depot, a.k.a. Discovery Golf Carts. Right here in Tampa Bay, they'll deliver directly to you, where you can try a test drive at your home, your office, or maybe a park, and let them bring it on out to you. Set up a time to see if it's something that's for you. We love our Keller Williams red golf cart. I had it wrapped, so I use it for business purposes. I also use it for the business and also recreation. So Golf Cart Depot, let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. A couple of hot listings here from the Tampa Bay real estate team, a top 1% real estate team here in Tampa Bay. We have a daycare for sale right here in Tampa Bay. It's on alternate 19 and Holiday, and a great opportunity. 1314 alt 19 as a daycare that's available right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. Got a daycare for sale. Also, another commercial property, 8001 US Highway 301 in Riverview. This property, it's on a corner lot, red light lot intersection. 50,000 vehicles a day driving by. There's 2 commercial buildings on site, 4,181 square feet combined, 33 parking spaces, busy corner lot, traffic location here in Tampa Bay. So you got an income-producing asset. You can also own a restaurant right there as well. 8001 US Highway 301 in Riverview, about $800,000 if I recall offhand. Great opportunity. Check out all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Sun is shining, the weather is sweet.
All right, we're talking with Brandon Faust here. He's with Mold Zero, Brandon Faust, and it's an interesting thing. I think some people out there might be saying, okay, this is something I might want to look into. This is something I need to do. They may be hesitant about the cost. What do you say to that?
Well, I mean, definitely you don't want to put any sort of price on your health, right? And
exactly.
When you look at the actual cost in terms of going to doctors, trying to figure out the actual problem, when it could be one particular thing that you get to the root cause and you're no longer having a situation, I don't think that there's really a price tag that you can put on your health.
Exactly.
Now, with that said, you can get an inspection. The inspection can run anywhere from $350 to guys that are using extremely sensitive equipment that might even charge up to like $2,000, right? Depending on the types of tests that they're doing. So I would only use somebody who's using that extremely sensitive equipment if, I had somebody who was immune compromised, or they really felt that, there was a situation that was extremely detrimental that was being caused by mold, to really get to the root of it. But the majority of time you can actually find out just by doing the air samples, but those are basically capturing a snapshot in time. It's not necessarily always going to capture an elevated, mold count, because mold it's a living, breathing organism. So it's going to release spores, once it's had water, right? So if maybe you're catching it at a dry time, etc., it may not have had a mold bloom. So, it really depends on, I would get somebody who's experienced, somebody that knows what they're doing. They're going to use direct samples. They're going to use air samples. They're going to, do moisture readings. They're going to use thermal imaging, etc. So they really have the tools and equipment. They know what they're doing. And if any mold inspector says, oh, don't worry about that, that's just kind of like common mold, I would say thank you very much and show them the door. Because there's no mold that is one of those molds that, don't worry about it. If you have cladosporium on your vents,
right,
trust me, that can cause a lot of trouble for a person. Joint aches, headaches, respiratory issues, rashes. Yep. We're talking about allergies, but who wants to be sleeping in that?
Yeah, exactly. And I think you find that different seasons in Tampa Bay and Florida, there's different seasons. Oh, it's a high pollen count. People are kind of confused. Oh, maybe it is the pollen outside, but it's actually inside your home. In a lot of cases, you've had some doctors that you brought on the show as well, kind of testimonial type stuff.
100%. There's a number of doctors. We actually have a number of specialists here in Tampa Bay that are actually world renowned, where people will fly in to get treated for mold. And, so we work with a lot of those guys in terms of actually handling their patients, because the patients can continue to get treatment, but if they're going back into a moldy home, it's like somebody who burns his hand, right? If he keeps putting his hand on the stove and you keep it hot, you're going to have a problem. You're not going to get better. Yeah. So we work with a lot of those particular doctors,
Yeah, we're talking with Brandon Faust here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Mold Zero is his company, and I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. So we do a lot of real estate deals, here in Tampa Bay, and sometimes you look at, okay, we go under contract, we go into the inspection period, the inspections are done. A couple of times a year at least, you have these situations where, oh, well, the roof says it was repaired, it said it was replaced, and but we think that water got down in the stucco or water's inside the drywall. I
mean, there's obviously, I would have had a different answer 2 years ago, okay? But then last year, I had a situation where that happened to me personally, right, where water was actually getting in, whether it was from the roof or from the cinder blocks, and it was causing me a lot of trouble. I had even done air samples, and it didn't show anything. And then when my AC flooded, I was popping baseboards, found a toxic mold and a pathogenic mold, and I'd been living in that for 6 months.
Wow.
Right? Who knows how long. And it was causing me all kinds of chest pain. I was getting fevers every couple months. Right? So it is one of those things that you're going to want to take the proper precautions. Get the air sample. I tell any of my friends that are buying a home here in Tampa Bay, I say, get a mold inspection done before you buy the house. Because truthfully, depending on what type of mold is coming up, you can tell whether or not it is a water mold or if it's a humidity mold. If it's a humidity mold or it's an allergenic mold, it's a pretty quick fix in most cases. If it's a water mold where there's a water intrusion, like the black mold or the toxic molds, that usually is coming from sort of continual water intrusion. At that point in time, you do need to remove the contaminated material. That might be more of a headache. But you want to find out about that before you buy the house, right? And I'm not wanting to be a deal killer at all, right? But truthfully, you also don't want to mess around with your health and inherit somebody else's problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if the deal needs to die, it needs to die. I mean, that's on the owner to repair and get
and it's
it up
also
to standard.
A legal point, right?
Oh, yeah, it's legal. It's a lot of issues potentially there as well when you look at
if you don't disclose it.
Exactly, that's the biggest one. If they don't disclose it, then they could get sued. And actually, I remember some years ago there was a gentleman that got some pretty hard jail time because he didn't disclose a sinkhole.
Wow.
I mean, how do you think you can't get away with that, right? Or you can get away with that?
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a really crazy story that I'll tell probably for years, but I was actually I'd called in to do a mold inspection, and the home inspector had left the bathtub on too long. So while I'm there,
oh wow,
it literally, the water came down from the second floor to the first floor into the garage. The fortunate thing is that I was there, and Mold Zero has gone into the water mitigation business as well. So we're also doing the dry out. So I was immediately able to go and get the dehues and the blowers and everything else so that we could start drying it out.
He's supposed to be there inspecting the property, and the guy left the water on?
Yeah, I mean, it was basically one of those tubs that the output was far more than he was used to. He even had a timer. The guy's been doing it for years. But it just goes to show that you want to make sure whoever you use has insurance, because his insurance is going to be on the hook. And that's probably going to be, a $20,000 job at the end of the day when you're talking about multiple floors and dry out,
Brandon Faust, moldzero.com, president of Mold Zero, Brandon Faust. Always a pleasure, my friend. Good stuff. And check them out online. Give them a call, reach out, and have them come check your property.
moldzero.com, 727-900-7202. Thanks for having me, Brandon.
Hey, my pleasure. Coming up, we've got Fred DeFelice, waterscience.us. All you wanted to know about your water supply, what's in it, and what's in it that you might not actually know here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Plus, our feel-good story of the day. Delivery driver takes a wrong turn, ends up saving a drowning dog. Stay with us. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show. And I say, Brandon Rhymes, knock out your competition.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
Still there?
I'm here.
Righty.
Yes, sir.
Hey, bud. How you doing?
Doing very well.
All right. We just changed out. We had Brandon Faust in here. Now Freddie D just sat down.
How's your bride doing?
Doing good, man. She's okay. I guess, she's kind of struggling a little bit from that auto accident.
Yeah.
Yep. So.
Hey, Freddie DeFelice, Fred Muth.
Hey, is that you?
That's me. What's going on, buddy?
Everything's good, man.
Life is short. We got to get together, Molly Goodhead.
That's right. When do you want to do it?
I don't know. In about 3 or 4 weeks, when we do it, we got to invite Brandon and his wife.
Yeah, absolutely.
Over in Ozona?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
a good
kind
spot.
of. Freddie brings his 49 Ford. I bring my Camaro. We have a good time.
Absolutely.
Sweet. All right, guys, we'll get going here since we're about a half hour behind.
All right.
We're going to go into segment 3 here.
Johnny, let me know when you're ready.
Ready.
All right, everybody stand by, please.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm a top 1% real estate team here in Tampa Bay. We rank outpace 99% of the other realtors in Tampa Bay, so we're excited to be here with you on air and highlighting some of our expert contributors. Fred DeFelice back in the house. Also coming up, Fred Muth, the 10-man, Tampa Screens and Aluminum. But first, I want to thank our sponsor, Bilmar Beach Resort, the official hotel partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. They've got 2 pools on site, Sloppy Joe's Beach Bar and Restaurant, Treasure Island, Florida, beautiful beaches. They've got a large beach over there, beautiful beach, and 90% of the rooms overlook the beach. So check out the Bilmar Beach Resort. Make sure you let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. Take them up on those special offers and incentives that they offer to our radio and TV show family out there. And a couple of hot listings here. We've got some properties in Tampa Bay. 6128 Oak Ridge Avenue. It's a great listing from the Platinum MVP team. 6128 Oak Ridge Avenue in Newport Richey. This is waterfront, beautiful property, bay access. Bring your boat, bring your jet skis, all your fishing tackle. And it's almost an acre of land, 4,100 plus square feet, 4 bedrooms, 4 bath, waterfront home right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. That's Newport Richey property for you right there. We also have some development opportunities here in Tampa Bay. 12208 Four Oaks Road. This is $1.8 million price point, 5 acres, but it's an R9 zoning. Get about 40 units on that property. It's a great opportunity here in beautiful Tampa Bay to build, develop in Carrollwood, Tampa, Florida. Check out all of our listings at PlatinumMVPTeam.kw.com.
Somewhere sunny and 75.
All right, we got the water expert, Mr. Fred DeFelice, in the house. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, great to be here, buddy.
Yeah, man, my pleasure. So I love it when you bring some of these stats in with you. I mean, it's interesting. You look at let's start with the quote. So
Okay.
The British poet Auden said, "Thousands have lived without love, not one without water."
That's absolutely true.
Quality of water is a big difference too. Now, a lot of the third world countries, of course, there's people dying. Here's another quote. "Unsafe water kills more people each year than war and all other forms of violence combined. Water population kills, in fact, 1.8 million deaths in 2015.
Yeah.
Pretty sad.
Yeah, fortunately, we live in this country because a lot of these statistics come from third world countries and places around the globe where they just don't have what we have, the infrastructure and things like that.
Yep.
So we're so fortunate.
We are.
Right?
We are, to have what we have. And then this is the big issue. I think it's one of the biggest issues facing our generation. Microplastics contamination has been found in tap water in countries around the world. Overall, 83% of the samples were contaminated with plastic fibers.
Yep.
Wow.
And here we have so many people depending on buying bottled water. 90% of all bottled water has microplastic particles. So, we're trying to educate people what they can do instead of drinking bottled water. Right.
Well, I'm so glad you got us hooked up with our system, and I'm using more and more of these containers. If you're watching our TV show side, you can see I've got the containers. You can simply purchase a couple of these, fill up your water before you leave the house if you're running appointments or you're going to a job site. Carry it with you instead of buying that plastic stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's talk about your product, the waterscience.us. So this is a whole home system.
Absolutely.
Treats the entire home, plus you've got the additional under the sink.
Yep. Basically, we're the alternative to a water softener. So the big thing about what we have, we use no salt. Our systems actually purify the water and not just remove the minerals. So there's such a big difference. Water softeners, old technology, wastewater, you have to deal with salt, put sodium in the water. People say, oh, the water is so soft with my water softener. But in the shower, they think that slippery, slimy feel is soft water. It's not. It's sodium. It's salt. We talk about reverse osmosis. Well, a saltwater softener, it's an osmosis. It takes the salt that you put in there to clean the thing and puts it in your water. So there's so much to talk about. But the simplest thing is we just have the right technology for today's times.
Yeah, exactly. The other big issue is, of course, the FDA, the amount of drugs that are being peddled by legal drug dealers throughout America, than the FDA. And so that has to end up in the water supply somewhere. And you've talked about that on the show before. And the kind of the funny twist was the number one drug in the water was Viagra, right?
Yeah, a lot of it. Yep.
Yeah.
But there's other stuff even worse than that probably in the water. And let's face it, the water company does the best job they can. They filter everything. They do aeration. They put a ton of chlorine and chloramine in the water to kill the bacteria.
Yep.
But they cannot get rid of those pharmaceutical drugs or the microplastic particles.
Right.
So,
back to the microplastics again. Here's a quote from USA Today, June 12th, 2020. Here's a quote out of the USA Today. Delivered like dust by the wind and rain, researchers in a new study estimate that more than 1,000 tons of tiny plastic microparticles, roughly the equivalent of 120 to 300 million plastic water bottles, falls upon national parks and protected wilderness areas in the western United States each year.
Yep.
That is sad. That's a staggering number.
It's everywhere. Most of our clothing is made with some type of plastic in it.
Yeah.
So when you wash your clothes, you're getting this all out of it's all in your laundry. It goes down the drain again into the rivers. It's just everywhere. The tires on your car spew out microplastic particles along the road.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting. You look at the microparticles, the microplastics, and what's going to change? What are we going to do? By the way, you mentioned the clothing. I can't stand those. I just bought some Hanes shirts. I just thought I was going to buy some, undershirts, some cotton. No,
they don't breathe.
It had 50% of this, 30% of this, rayon, 30% of this, and I could tell it was just like one of those what you just mentioned, like a plastic type deal.
Yeah,
and I don't like the feel
pure
for
cotton for some reason.
Yeah, I don't like the feel for it either. It's probably the reason is always goes back to money, right? Greed from the corporations.
Yep.
We're talking with Fred DeFelice here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, helping you win in any marketplace. Fred is a water quality expert, longtime friend of the program, master plumber as well. You got your start as a plumber.
Second generation master plumber.
Yep.
Started hanging around with the old man when I was like 8-9 years old.
Nice. You were his gopher, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It was great. I used to pride myself that I knew what tool he was going to ask for before he did, and I'd have it ready for him.
That's what I try to teach, kids in my life.
Yeah.
And hey, why don't you have the initiative to do what you think I might ask for?
Exactly.
That's the key. That's the big key right there.
Yeah. The only time I got in trouble with him when I would put the tools away too soon before he was done.
Ah, okay. Well, you were trying.
I was trying.
You were trying to. Hey, I'm trying to get a step on it, Dad. Right. And you mentioned that you were in water most of your life. But
yeah, mostly in hot water with my wife.
There you go. Yeah,
and that's true.
That's the punchline right there. The hot water. Fred DeFelice. Now, you've known Mr. Fred Muth. Now we got Fred Muth on the line as well. I believe.
Fred
He's
and
still
I
there.
go back.
Tell me a little bit about how you and Fred have met. Mr. Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum, and how you guys work together.
Yeah, it was about 16, 17 years ago. One of the homes we were remodeling for ourselves, he came and taught us, what's the best thing to do to put a pool cage,
Nice.
And since then, I've recommended him. He's done cages or lanai screens for my family here and there.
Nice.
Great guy, knows his stuff.
Yeah.
A guy you can trust.
Yep, the tin man in the house.
Yeah.
Fred, you out there? You hear that? I'm not sure.
Yeah, tell him the truth, Freddie. We met in prison. You know that.
So...
Well, we can be cons up and cons then.
Yeah, that's right. We had a good show about that last week. Yeah, we did a great show on that. I couldn't believe the 77% of the cons when they come out.
That was incredible.
Basically, it's called the recidivism rate. Basically they go back in.
Yeah.
And here's one that James did a great job of teeing up for us, our producer. Man's exoneration leads to Hillsborough State Attorney to launch bite mark conviction review. So this is another one that's right in line with, is the person, in prison wrongfully, like Captain Will Smith was, and we're making a movie about his story. But on Monday, a judge vacated the conviction of 55-year-old Robert Dubois, and he was convicted of murder of Barbara Grahams back in 1983. So more and more, you're seeing that kind of stuff in the news.
It's a shame.
I'm in the middle of reading that book by Captain Smith. It is amazing.
Oh, nice. Which one did we mail to you? Was it Ditches to Riches?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
It's right here in front of me. Yep.
Very good.
Very good. I highly recommend it.
Very cool. Yep, Ditches to Riches and Falling from the Sky is the one we're going to be making the movie out of. So
yeah, that's great that you guys are doing this.
It's gonna be fun too. We had the producer on the show, and kind of formalizing and putting those relationships in place. But it's such a great story, and now it's so interesting how the movie landscape. It used to be all out in Hollywood, and then you saw some Atlanta, a lot of money up there with Tyler Perry and folks in Atlanta. But now let's bring it to Tampa Bay. Let's bring the local economy here. And it's there's so many people craving for content, and then there's so many outlets now with all the different Apple TVs and Rokus and Hulus and all the different ones. So it's great opportunities right now.
Proud of you, man.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. All right, when we come back, more from Fred DeFelice and Fred Muth here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We're going to talk about your water quality. We're also going to talk about the ability to add these beautiful screen rooms onto your real estate properties, Tampa Screens and Aluminum, with Fred Muth here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Plus, our feel-good story of the day. We got a feel-good story from you. Delivery driver takes a wrong turn, ends up saving a drowning dog. Pretty cool story about an Amazon driver going above and beyond the call of duty. Stay with us. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
This is Diane Vance with Fairway Independent Mortgage, a member of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Please give me a call for any of your mortgage needs. We do all sorts of loans. If you would like information on a mortgage, you can text me or call me at 727-647-8199. I will take care of all your mortgage needs. Go to my website at dianevance.com.
Ian Beckles here with my man, Brandon Rhymes, a.k.a. the Real Estate Quarterback. Brandon, what's happening with the market?
Thanks, Ian. We are in a low inventory market, so any of our listeners are homeowners and would like a free comparable market analysis or a 2.5% listing, we will honor this for the first 3 listeners who call or text in 813-773-1253. Free CMA and a 2.5% real estate listing at 813-773-1253. Check out consumerqb.com. Selling commercial or residential property? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rhymes. Reach me at 813-670-7372 or platinummvpteam.com.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. We appreciate you engaging with us, all the new callers, people calling in and supporting the show, supporting our local economy, all the local business owners and account reps that are part of our program. It's very important that you guys support us, and we greatly appreciate you reaching out. Anything that you heard about on the show today, reach out to our hotline, 813-750-0550. That's our consumer advocate hotline, 813-750-0550. Consumer Advocate Hotline. Call or text, like if you want more information about water, you could simply text the word water, and we'll put you right in touch with Fred. And if you want to talk about screen rooms, we can get you in touch with Fred Muth. And this segment is brought to you by Replenish IV Solutions, the science of nutritional balance. The Replenish IV Solutions, I love at least once a month or so. I go in, I get the vitamin infusion drip right into my bloodstream. They're pumping in all the good stuff, the B's, the C's, the zinc, and all the good stuff coming into your bloodstream, and it's readily absorbed. It's absorbed better than taking the vitamins orally. Replenish IV Solutions. Say hello to Stephen and Lisa Gunnan. They've got 3 locations now throughout Tampa Bay to serve you, and they also make house calls. Replenish IV Solutions, the science of nutritional balance. And every day we're going to tell you something good and a positive story here in our feel-good story of the day.
Tell me something good.
All right, so an Amazon delivery driver in Massachusetts is being hailed as a hero by a family whose dog was drowning in a pool while they were not home. John Casabrina, 24, says he was making his rounds when he suddenly took a wrong turn. He stopped to reroute the GPS tractor and heard a strange noise. I've never heard anything like that. I actually heard it over the reversing beeping of my van. He followed the noise, led him to a house, and he spotted a dog stuck in a pool crying for help. And the 14-year-old husky named Luca had been treading water for an unknown amount of time. Casabria hopped the fence and rushed to get the dog out. He says he dove into the pool with his shoes, his wallet, and his car keys, and the whole nine, he said. So he called the police department, and Luca was in for about an hour until they waited for the animal control to show up. So, hey, delivery driver going above and beyond right there. That's a good story. That's a feel-good story, Fred.
Absolutely.
I like that one.
Yep.
And so we got Fred DeFelice, waterscience.us. Let's go to the phones now. Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum. What you up to out there, Fred?
It was just writing them up right and left. It's amazing how much business is coming across our plate these days. Not that I'm bragging. I just, last week alone, I think I signed up 9. And
nice.
So far this week, I signed up 3, and the week's not over. It's just amazing. Well, they're sitting around, the homeowners, and looking out their back and saying, oh, we're tired of the way it looks back here. Let's give Freddie a call. And bingo, next thing you know, we got another job on the books. We've been kind of hampered with the rain. I got, I think, 7 or 8 concrete pours on hold right now because the rain hasn't stopped raining for almost 2 weeks. Tough.
Yeah,
makes it tough to pour, makes it tough to build, and makes it tough to go out and measure. I go out these days with 3 pairs of shoes and 2 shirts. Come home still wet. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But we talk about the pros and cons of the business right now, and one of the big things we're running across is the permitting. It's taken forever to get permits, and I continuously thank the customers for their patience, to the point where it's becoming a routine statement that I'm making, that the permitting process is very slow, based on what's going on with the world of the super virus. And a lot of the building departments are converting from a paper system to a paperless system. And you know what happens when you make a change in a governmental agency? Can you guess?
Oh, yeah. Slow, bureaucratic.
Nobody wants to change. They're very happy with what they're doing, and then bingo, a change. Oh, wow. And the change is definitely going to improve things once we get beyond the growing pains of the change. And I'm looking forward to that because it's been a very slow process for, I would say, 4 months now. It's been an extremely slow process, and I can feel the pain myself because I'm in the middle of a project at my house, and I still have no answers on my permits, none whatsoever, and I'm in the business. It's just the way it is. But it's going to get better. It's like everything. Everything's going to get better real soon. I think we've with this virus situation, I think we've hit the top of the curve so far, and I don't think it's going to at all get worse. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
I think everything's going to continue to improve. It's going to take a while, but I think everything's going to improve going forward.
I agree.
What's your thoughts?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely in the rear view, and it's getting better. And the more and more studies coming out about misappropriation of deaths and the death rate being super small. I mean, it's just to me it was a politicized by the liberal media for imagine that. But speaking of good things happening in Tampa Bay, get your commentary on this. Tampa wins $24 million federal grant to complete new spans of Riverwalk. The city of Tampa is being awarded $24 million to extend the west portion of Riverwalk north to connect the nearby neighborhoods. The grant is being awarded through the U.S. Department of Transportation's Better Utilizing Investment to Leverage Development, acronym is BUILD grant. Interesting transformative project for the city of Tampa, says Mayor Jane Castor.
That's beautiful. This city of Tampa has done nothing but get better. I mean, I've been here for almost 30 years. And when I got here, it was really backwards. And every year since I've been here, I saw major improvements. And it's on an upswing constantly.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely beautiful city.
Yeah, absolutely. The grant will fund completion of the 12.2-mile Riverwalk. The city and local public and private partners have already invested more than $1 billion on parks, housing, and office and retail space in the project area. The project is expected to increase private sector investment by more than $700 million. And what's interesting about this grant is it also requires a 20% local match, bringing the total investment to just under $30 million.
Wow, much more work for many more contractors. And with what you do, Brandon, are you still out of inventory? I'm thinking you are.
Super low, man. Very low inventory. We need more houses. We need more properties, condos, townhomes. And I got a lot of vacant land, so I need the builders and developers to call me too. Give me a call, guys. I've got lots of opportunities out there to build and develop. Lots of vacant land listings, about 20 or so listings ready to go.
Wow, that's a gold mine right there.
Yep, vacant land. We got about 45 to 50 listings total if you include all of our inventory. But yeah, real excited about a lot of the things happening in the future. Let's jump into our lightning round here, fellas.
The lightning round!
I am so good at lightning rounds!
I majored in lightning
All right, let's go top tips, nuggets of advice, parting words of wisdom. Let's go back in studio here. Fred DeFelice.
All right. Well, the best thing I can say to you is our process is very simple. Give me a call. Check out my website, waterscience.us. Right over the phone, a simple conversation. We can pretty much tell you exactly what you need. And, of course, with our upfront pricing, there's no surprises. Great financing, 12 months, same as cash. Financing starting at $19 a month.
Nice.
Just give me a call.
Got the bottled water challenge, too.
Yeah, we got that. We're really wanting you to get rid of that water softener. So we're offering a $500 trade-in value on that, or we'll give you free installation if you don't have a water softener. Lot to know.
Very good.
A lot that we can tell you about.
Yeah, at least get the consultation, get the test. You come out there, you test the water for them, you let them know what's in it.
We test the water. We bring you some of our water so you can try it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I'm not bragging, but our customers love us. That's all
Absolutely.
I can tell you.
Raving fans.
Yep.
Fred DeFelice, waterscience.us. All right, Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum. Top tips.
Every homeowner should do a lot of homework before they choose any contractor, whether it's a aluminum contractor, roofing contractor, no matter who you are. Look at the reviews. In our case, for example, of course, I have a tremendous following because I've been in the business forever. However, Tampa Screens, their reviews are phenomenal. And if it wasn't for their reviews, I could take a break because their reviews get me more leads and make me sell more business. And I'm okay with that. But, sometimes I like to come up for air. Tampa Screens is a very good company to work with. I truly enjoy working with them. It's family-owned. Richard and the family, they're in there. We've got staff that just keep a lid on everything. Virgil and Diana, they're just amazing. So I'm very happy working with them. And obviously that follows throughout the entire project.
Yeah, that's true, man. And all of our show partners, I can tell you, we're batting 1,000% from all the feedback that we get. There's, literally everybody says Fred did a great job. Whether it's the water science, hooked up, gentleman's condo just a month or so ago that I remember offhand. Just all of our feedback has been great from our listeners out there, folks that are engaging with us on the show, calling in. We'd love to help you. And we appreciate you reaching out and supporting the show, supporting the local economy, and being that force for good in the community that we talk about. So, hey, another great show. I want to thank our expert contributors today. We had Brandon Faust, Mold Zero on the show. Also, our two Freds. We got Fred Squared here. We got Fred DeFelice, Fred Muth. Always a pleasure having you gentlemen in. Appreciate you.
Great to be here.
Our pleasure.
All right, and we want our listeners, our viewers out there of our TV show to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another. Be a force for good in the community, and we'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Now, follow us online. We would love to connect with you on social media at Brandon Rhymes1 on Instagram and Twitter, Consumer Quarterback Show page on Facebook, and, of course, the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty on Facebook as well. We'll see you next time. Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at ConsumerQB.com. And join us next time for The Consumer Quarterback Show.